Good morning, everybody. This is Nathan from the Oregon Brewery Running Series. I am here with Ty Sorensen. We are at On Running, 1937 Northwest Quimby, up in the Pearl District, kind of on the, I don't know, is this the outskirts of the Pearl?
It's kind of on the border of Pearl and Slabtown.
Okay, that's kind of what I was thinking. It's one of those the border towns, I guess you can call it. We're here at On Running. This is the North American headquarters?
Correct.
Is that right?
Correct.
As we're going to find out here, On is a Swiss company that has these cool shoes that we're going to talk about. And over the next few minutes here, we're going to learn all about On, a little bit about Ty, about running, about what these shoes might do for you, and just how cool they are. But before we do that, we have a couple of discount codes, not for the shoes, but for our races. Again, this is the Oregon Brewery Running Series show. So if you would like to use a coupon code ONFREE, the first 5 people to jump online and use that code, ONFREE, will get into any of our remaining 2017 events. We have 12 left, and these guys are going to be at a few of them. Do you remember off the top of your head which ones?
I know we're doing Great Notion, I believe.
Okay, I think that's in October.
And maybe the one next door? Is there one next door?
Yes, there's one. It's not at this Lucky Lab.
Okay, I
but
think
it's
we're
the one
doing one of the Lucky Labs.
Okay. And why that's cool is because they're going to be there, and you guys were with us this last Saturday. They have demo shoes that you can try. So if you're like, I'd be in the market for a new pair of running shoes, you can come try them out, buy them, and they've also graciously donated a couple pairs as well to give out at our raffle. So that's pretty exciting. So use code ONFREE or ON5. So if you're not one of the lucky 5 people to get the free one, you can use ON5 and get $5 off your entry, which is pretty cool as well. So Ty, good morning again.
Yeah,
thanks
good
for
morning.
doing this. I am excited to chat with you and learn more about On, learn about kind of what these shoes are with these little holes in the bottom and what that's all about. I'm wondering if you can, to kick us off here, just kind of talk at a pretty high level, like what is On Running? I know it's a new company. Many people probably haven't heard of it. What is it?
Yeah, sure. So we're a premium Swiss running shoe brand.
I spilled water all over myself. Sorry.
That's all good. So we're based at a global headquarters out of Zurich, Switzerland. And so we have created a revolutionary external cushioning system called Cloud Tech. So we brought to the market something that's very different than a traditional running shoe.
Sure.
Trying to make a running shoe that works for everybody.
Cool. And how I have so many questions about this. Can you talk a little bit more about the background? I know that this was developed out of kind of a practical need.
Yep.
One of the owners was a world-class triathlete.
Exactly.
Looking to kind of fix some injuries and decided there was nothing on the market for him. And so he's like, hey, I'm just going to make my own shoe.
Yeah, exactly. So the company was founded by 3 buddies. One of them's name is Olivier Bernhard,
Okay.
Former professional triathlete.
Google that.
Yep. 3-time world duathlon champ.
Okay.
Really stud runner. He's very humbling to run with because he just leaves you in his dust.
Is he one of those guys where he's just talking and not sweating and just looks like,
Yeah.
and then you're dying and
Yeah,
huffing
that's
and
exactly
puffing
it. Running like 5-minute miles and you're doing
Yes.
everything you can to catch up
Yeah,
while he just
yeah.
casually has a conversation and then leaves you.
Right. It's like, well, I got to go do 10 more miles. So, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
so he was a professional athlete, very elite, and he was plagued by Achilles injuries his entire career. Sponsored by a lot of big brands, just couldn't find anything that worked.
Sure.
So at the end of his professional career, he said, hey, let me try to come up with a new technology. Let's start from the ground up, and let's try to make a new type of running shoe that could potentially help people that have Achilles issues or leg issues like himself. So really, we were founded as an injury prevention brand.
Interesting.
And
Okay.
so he got with a couple buddies, and they got with an engineer in Switzerland and came up with Cloud Tech.
Okay.
And one of the stories of kind of how he had the light bulb moment was he was running on the beach one day, and on one side of the road, the beach was really soft. On the other side of the road, it was a little more firm where it was wet. And he was running back and forth and found that he really liked the landing sensation in the soft sand, but realized that it was a lot of energy to toe off. And then in the hard sand, it wasn't that cushioning, but it was much more efficient to toe off. And he said, is there a way that I could combine those two feelings to give you a really nice soft cushion landing, but give you a very solid explosive push off?
Wow. That's cool.
Yeah.
That's really cool. So why Swiss company, why Portland?
Yeah, so
before we get into the technology, which is I know is everyone is curious about.
Yeah, so we, like I mentioned, we started in Zurich.
Right.
We have been over there for coming up on 7 years.
Okay.
We launched our U.S. market about 3.5, almost 4 years ago now, and we looked at a few spots in the U.S., but we said if we're gonna, go for that number one spot and really be a legitimate running shoe brand, Portland is the spot to do it with Nike and Adidas and some other guys here. So
I wasn't gonna mention them, but
so we said we'll just
since you did,
pull up in the backyard and do our thing.
Give them a run for the money. And it's kind of
Exactly.
cool. You guys are the fastest growing. Is this right? You're the fastest growing shoe company?
Yeah, fastest growing running shoe brand in the
That's
U.S.
awesome.
We've seen really, really, really great growth, 182% distribution growth last year.
That's crazy.
So that's much higher than most of the brands out there.
Sure.
So we,
which when you're
we're
small,
pretty
it's a
excited about
little
that.
easier to do that because
Sure.
you're starting from nothing. But it's still
Sure.
cool to see that year after year you keep growing. And I've run in these at a group run at Portland Running Company down on Southeast Grand, and I only I just did 4 miles in it, but I remember thinking this is different. This feels a lot different than the shoe that I had been running in at the time. So let's dive into that. Why are they different? I don't know if you can see that, but there's these little pockets, springs. What do you call these?
Yeah, so we
things?
call them cloud elements.
Cloud elements.
Yeah.
Okay, that's the more technical
the
term.
tech talk.
Springy things is not
Yeah.
in the business development material. Okay.
Yep. So we can dive into the tech. So basically we've
And before we do
engineered-
that, are you exclusively running, or do you do other sport shoes?
We do just running
Okay.
shoes, but great for walking, kicking around town.
Sure, of course. Athleisure.
A couple
Yeah.
of our models are great for the gym and stuff like that as well.
Totally.
So, but
There's
we're
a
definitely
a whole wall of them over here too, which you can only see a few of them, but it goes all the way up there.
Yeah.
So, all right, sorry. The technology.
Yep. So we've basically created an external cushioning system called
Okay.
Cloud Tech.
External cushioning. All right.
Yep. So it's much different than traditional running shoes. So
Right.
The name of the technology is Cloud Tech, and Cloud Tech is comprised of the strange little cloud elements that you see on the bottom that makes
Okay.
us look very different.
Yeah.
And then there's also this guy sandwiched in between that we call a speed board, and that's going to
Okay.
provide
What's
the
that little-
flex and the torsional rigidity.
Okay.
And it's actually exposed, so you can
there it
see
is.
it down the channel there.
What is-
That's actually the speed board.
So in layman's terms, what does this thing do? Flex and
So-
torsional rigidity.
Yeah, so it basically just provides.
Why do I
the-
care about that? I'm a runner. What does that mean?
Yeah, so it's going to foster a really efficient and rolling gait cycle, make sure
Okay.
that you're in a very nice, natural, efficient motion as you
Okay.
hit the ground. Minimizes that impact, makes your running a little bit easier.
Okay. So one thing I know or read is that these are not neutral or motion control or whatever. They're kind of everybody fit, right? Or something like that?
They are neutral.
Okay. They are neutral. Okay.
Yep, so they are all neutral shoes. But the cool thing, kind of the innovation before we actually get into the technology itself
Sure.
is, the cloud elements, they operate independently from one another, and they actively adapt to your specific foot type and
Okay.
gait cycle. So that's number one. That's something that we went out to achieve that's very different than the market. So
Right.
most shoe brands or traditional shoes, they make a footbed, they make an outsole and say, this is the way we want your foot to sit when you run.
Right.
We took the opposite approach and said, we don't think there's a right way to run. We feel that you can heel strike, midfoot, forefoot strike. Now, granted, you can take steps to make your running more efficient.
Right.
But for those just getting started, we said, let's just make a shoe that actively adapts to you, works to your foot type so that you can just run however feels comfortable. So the cool thing about the cloud elements is they evenly distribute that weight, operate independently from one another, and actively adapt to your foot type, giving you the cushion support when and where you need it.
Wow.
So that's a little
cool.
bit of a different take on traditional running shoes.
So then there's nothing inside, like traditional running shoe has something inside, like this
Yeah.
section, right? And
Yep,
this-
so
it's all out
usually-
here.
Yeah, most shoes have a midsole.
Okay.
Our shoes, it's all exposed cushioning. So really, this plastic speedboard, all of the cushion is external. So
Okay.
there really isn't a traditional midsole with our shoes.
Gotcha. That's cool.
Especially on this guy, our brand new one, the Cloud Flash. This is our new racing
I
flat.
was just going to say, this looks like a racing flat.
Yeah, it's-
There's a little lightning bolt right there, which
Yep.
means go fast.
Yeah, it adds
Yeah.
an extra 5 miles per hour.
Awesome. That's helpful.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
it's a super fun shoe to run in.
Very cool.
And so then with our shoes, there are three main benefits to our technology that are a little bit different. So the first thing you'll notice is with the cloud elements on the bottom, they're designed to give you a really nice soft cushion landing. But as you roll up onto the forefoot, these elements collapse, removing majority of the cushion when it's not necessary. So you get all the benefits of a traditional cushion shoe, minimizing that impact. But as you go to toe off, it's going to be much more responsive, much more stable, and much more explosive. So it's going to increase your gait cycle and efficiency while you still minimize impact.
Does that change, or does that matter if, some people are heel strikers, some people are, well, most people aren't toe strikers, but how does that, if you're someone that lands like, that lands like this versus lands like this, does it know?
Yeah, so again, it's going to adapt to you, and that's one of the cool things about it is you can heel strike, forefoot strike, and you're still going to get that cushioning, and then that collapse and that toe off is going to be really solid.
Gotcha. Okay.
So that's kind of the first, and that's kind of almost relates back to the sand story of we were able to achieve a shoe that does give you the cushion on the landing, but that firm push off. So then the second benefit of our shoe, and in my opinion, which is probably the most innovative, is we give vertical impact force cushioning, like a traditional running shoe, but we also, the cloud elements move horizontally, so we mitigate shearing forces.
What does that mean?
So shearing forces, if you're not familiar with those, it's basically two inanimate objects. In running, it's our shoe and the ground sliding in opposite directions. So a lot of people don't realize that when you run, every time you land and you push off, there's micro amounts of sliding happening, and those are shearing forces.
Oh, of course.
And that's where, and so you really feel it like if you're going down hills or like letting her rip down trails, that's where you'll feel like you just shredded your body at the end because your body's absorbing all that impact. So we actually found through the cloud elements that we're able to minimize the vertical impact forces, which are great if you're jumping up and down. But since we're running, we've got those shearing forces involved now, and we really want to minimize those so that you can stay healthier, run longer, recover faster. And we're really the only brand on the market that actively mitigates the shearing forces.
Can I see this one?
Yeah.
And so that's caused because these little things they kind of prevent you from going back and forth.
Yeah, exactly. So they compress vertically, but they also move horizontally on impact.
Oh, interesting. Yeah. It's kind of hard to do with my fingers, but I see what you're saying. Yeah, that's cool.
And you really will notice it anytime we do demo runs. I always try to get a little downhill run in, and everybody always comes back and says, I've never been able to just let it rip down a hill like that and feel like my knees aren't going to be shredded at the end of it.
So these aren't specifically hill or trail shoes, but that's just one of the other benefits of
this. Yeah. And we do, and so these are both road shoes, but we make a full trail line as well.
Okay.
So that's kind of the second benefit of the technology. And then the third benefit is all of our shoes, so you can kind of see it there, have a nice even flex to them. And so the reason that we do that,
in there.
Yeah, exactly. And the reason that we do that is to foster a really efficient rolling gait cycle with no predetermined rolling motion. And so that's kind of so it's to foster a an efficient, so it's to foster an efficient rolling motion or efficient rolling gait cycle with no predetermined rolling motion.
Gotcha.
So that's the tech jargon. To break it down to make a little bit more sense, most running shoes are very stiff through the heel and the midfoot and flex right in the toe.
Yes.
In our opinion, that's an inefficient way to run. So the analogy I always use is a square versus a cylinder. So traditional shoes that are really stiff are like trying to roll a square across the ground. Or if you can imagine riding a bike with square tires. You're bouncing all over the place. The body's absorbing the shock. If you happen to be a heel striker, you're going to hit that heel, slap down on the flat part. And we've all had that slapping feeling, and you're absorbing all the impact. Our shoes with that rounded flex are like rolling a cylinder across the ground. So it's very fluid.
Smooth and easy.
Yeah, nice, and the shoe's guiding in for you. You're getting a really nice fluid toe off, and now the shoe is absorbing a lot of the impact.
Very cool.
So those are kind of the three main benefits of our shoes, and then of course, depending on the different models, we have little extra bells and whistles that get a little extra performance depending on what we want to get out of it.
And they're all pretty lightweight. Is there an average? I don't know. I guess most people don't really know what their shoes weigh anyway, but they seem like they're pretty lightweight shoes.
Yeah, so they're super lightweight, and that's actually just an indirect benefit of the technology. We just found that when we created it, because we use airspace for cushioning, it makes shoes light. So a great example is our #1 seller, which is our Cloud. It's the lightest, fully cushioned running shoe on the market.
Is that the blue one?
So it's actually these guys down here.
Oh, okay.
So lightest fully cushioned running shoe on the market. It's about 5.5 ounces, but it's still cushioned.
Okay.
So when you talk of weights of 5-6 ounces, a lot of people think it's
a
or assume
flat.
it's a racing flat or it's a
Right.
barefoot shoe. Our goal with that was to say you can still make an ultra cushioned shoe that's extremely lightweight.
It's very lightweight. Yeah. Do they have a heel to toe drop average? Because that's, I know, a big term that people are looking at. 10 millimeters, 4 millimeters.
Yeah, exactly. So all of our shoes are 5 to 7 millimeters.
Okay.
We find that through research and development that's the perfect average inclination to get you in a little bit more of an athletic forward stance, but not put any unnecessary stress on the body.
Okay. That's cool. Well, one of the things that I was most curious about is, so I've been dealing with an Achilles injury for a long time.
Yep.
And that was kind of how these shoes were born, right? The founder had an Achilles injury. How do they specifically help with that?
Sure. So that's a great
or
question.
even other injuries, I guess you could talk about as well.
Yeah, for sure. So number one, it's the technology itself. It really helps with the impact, minimizing that impact, and that's always helpful. You know, we kind of feel it on that. Of course, we're born to run barefoot, but not on hard surfaces. So we got to have a little cushion on there. And so that's one of the reasons that it helps. But the main thing that it helps with is our shoes are engineered to activate and strengthen the postural muscles. So most shoes, because we're rolling the foot into
postural, meaning
just like the lower extremity muscles.
Oh, okay.
The muscles that hold our posture up, basically.
Yes, okay.
And so a lot of shoes, like we talked about earlier, that put you in their specific footbed type, they maybe roll the foot over, they put it in a position that's not naturally intended to be in, which is going to disengage the muscles and make them weaker.
Okay.
Our shoes actively activate those postural muscles and strengthen them, and we've found that through a lot of research that you can fix a lot of minor gait deficiencies through muscle memory by strengthening them up.
Okay.
You know, a good story that we use a lot is most people don't realize you can actually build an arch back up in your foot. You know,
I've heard about that. Yeah.
So if all of us are guilty of wearing flip-flops in the summer or wearing Vans and stuff like that, and we all draw, and our arches will actually drop because you're not strengthening those muscles. You don't have the support underneath them. But then if you were to go spend a month hanging on the beach running and really digging and flexing those toes into the sand, you're going to build that arch back up.
Okay.
So we use a lot of principles like that, and we find that we're able to adjust the body. I find that myself, I even stand a little bit taller because you're on the cloud elements, and it almost acts like a bunch of little Swiss balls under the feet. No pun intended there.
No, it's good. That makes a lot of sense. Huh. It's fascinating when you think about, you know, all the little things, and not that a shoe is the answer to all of your injury problems, but how, you know, if that can, you know, create a few degrees of correction in something that will help you, you know, overcome an injury just a little bit faster or whatever it is.
Yep.
It's kind of nice to think about that.
Yeah, exactly. And it's, you know, another thing that we really strive is just to bring more innovation to the running industry.
Sure.
You know, it's not that other brands aren't innovating, but it's been a lot of the same technologies for decades. And so now we've got brands like On and Hoka and Ultra and some of these younger brands that are being a little bit more innovative, and we're taking a lot of market share because customers are realizing that
disrupting the space a little bit.
Yeah, there's other options out there.
For sure. Yeah. I just said this at the beginning, but your title is Business Development, North America, and Northwest Sales.
Yep, exactly.
So do you travel a lot in all those places?
Yeah, so I do Oregon, Washington, Idaho, Montana, and Alaska.
It's crazy.
And then for business development, I do some travel across the U.S.
Okay. It's funny, my wife was in an HR role, but she traveled to all those same places a lot too.
Okay, cool.
So I'm curious, as you go over different parts of the country and really the world, is there any similar feedback about what people like about these? It's maybe not some of the technical stuff that you just shared, like, you know, people really enjoy something that was perhaps an unintended, I don't know, positive about them?
Yeah, sure. You know, one piece of feedback that we get a lot that I think is attributed a lot to our Swiss roots is the aesthetics of the shoe. I get a lot of people are really pumped about the fact that they look good, and they can, especially the Cloud, which is that one. It's a great shoe. You can run, 10, 15, 20 miles, and then you can, jump in the shower and throw them back on with a pair of jeans, and they look nice. Yeah,
they don't look like a more traditional running shoe, which, I feel like that. I also like the laces too.
Yep.
Those are not
they're not traditional laces. Yeah, and everything about our shoes is different, and that's the way we approach our technology is we start with nothing and say what is the bare minimum that we need, and let's reinvent things.
Sure.
And then another thing that we've done really well, especially the last season, is really get our uppers dialed in.
Okay.
So that's one of the best feedback pieces of feedback that I get is customers will put their foot in the shoe, not even stand up or tie it, and just say this upper feels amazing.
Feels good, yeah.
And what we did is we created a 3D sock fit engineered upper, and so it's a 2-layer mesh, and the inner layer is really soft to mimic a sock, and it slightly just hugs the foot a little bit.
Sure.
It's not compression or anything, but it's intended to just give a little extra support. So it really supports the arch, hugs the middle of the foot, keeps it in place. And then we've got a nice squared off toe box in the end, so you still get that nice room for a natural toe splay.
Sure.
So it gives you all the support in the right places and just feels really nice.
These liners seem like they're not your average liner either.
Yeah, we use super nice insoles. That's our new one we just launched, and those are getting ready to roll out into
Okay.
all of our models for spring summer 18.
Cool.
And it's amazing how much added cushion that adds to a shoe.
Right. So one of the questions I had, as I was we were emailing and I was kind of researching is, there's the whole barefoot movement, right?
Yep.
That people argue isn't legit, isn't like whatever. Like you said, we're not meant to run barefoot on hard pavement. How does this fit in that spectrum of sort of the barefoot minimal nothing to the huge, maybe a Hoka or just a really heavy over-engineered shoe? And maybe Hoka doesn't fit that, but they're big. And what I'm specifically thinking of is for those people who they have been told their whole life they need one of those, 15 millimeter, real bulky, really, over-engineered shoe. Like, how would you convince them that this might actually work for them and possibly better?
Yep.
Sorry, that was like two different questions, but...
No, it's perfect. So we don't really define ourselves within a specific category.
Sure.
And I know it sounds like kind of a cliche answer, but we really have a product that's unlike anything on the market. So we really focus on doing something innovative, something different. We kind of put the blinders on, keep our head down, and do our own thing.
Sure.
With that being said, I think it's kind of offers the best of both worlds to customers because you get that really soft cushion and that super firm push off.
Right.
That it almost gives you that really plush feeling on the landing, but a much more responsive, I don't want to say a barefoot takeoff, but kind of that similar feeling. And I've had a lot of customers that come from the minimalist movement that we've convinced to try our shoes, and they love it because they get that same feeling, but they don't have to worry about all the abuse on the body.
All the injuries that result, sure.
And granted, with that being said, I mean, different strokes for different folks. Everybody, some people love the minimal thing, some people love the max cushion, and that's totally fine. We just want to show people that there are other options out there.
Totally. And it's funny, often people ask me, what's the best running shoe? What should I get?
Right.
And sometimes I'll joke and name a very specific shoe, but it's really like, well, you just got to try something on and figure out what feels good and what fits your foot, and take it for a run around the block and just figure out how you like it. Where can people try these? Either in Portland, or are you in national
so we're
outlets around the country?
So we're actually in about 53 countries. We have about 3,000 stores worldwide. In the U.S., we're in, I think, about over 600 stores now.
Okay.
In Portland, we're in Fleet Feet, Roadrunner Sports, Shoe Mill.
Portland Running Company, right?
No, we're not in Portland Running Company anymore.
Nope.
Okay. So those would be the best
Gotcha.
options to check it out.
Very cool. Yeah, I'm just a big fan of putting them on and just running and seeing what it feels like. Yeah,
and that's what it's all about. I mean, the number one factor in buying a running shoe is comfort, and comfort is so subjective. So what's comfortable to you, what's comfortable to me, is most likely going to be different. And
for sure.
You hit it on the head. I mean, when you're going to buy a running shoe, we're in an age where it's very easy to get on e-com, to jump on Amazon, have an order shoe, it's there in 2 days. But I really encourage people, go support your local running stores.
Yeah,
go
definitely.
in. Those guys are professionals. Let them fit you and help guide you through the process to make sure that you get into a shoe that's right for you. And that's our number one distribution channel, because they are there to show you that there are other products out there.
They know what they're doing, and they know how to put it in. Yeah. It was when I was, researching and trying to read up on this. It was interesting. There's two consistent negatives that I read about your shoe. Mm-hmm. One of them was the price.
Okay.
Which is, they're comparable to any running shoe I've ever purchased. So I don't know how that. But the other one was that these little holes get rocks in them.
Okay. Yeah.
How do you? I mean, I know how you can pick them out, but is that any customer? I'm sure you guys have heard that before.
Yeah, for
and
sure.
How do you sort of deal with that, I guess?
Yep. So first I'll hit on the price. We do actually have the highest average retail price of any shoe on the market.
Oh, okay.
But we're actually very proud of that. We have a really premium product. We
You're
put a
the
lot
Apple
into
of
it.
running shoes.
We
There you
love
go.
that. That's
Yeah.
perfect. And what we find is once customers get in our shoe, they feel
Mm-hmm.
the materials, they feel the technology working. They don't mind paying an extra $10 for the shoes.
Right.
And
Which is really
so-
what it comes down to. Like, especially when you go online, sometimes you're $5, $10, $20 like difference, and which isn't a big deal over the
exactly.
lifespan of a shoe.
And the reason that we wear running shoes is to protect the body, to make sure we stay healthy, and so you're really investing in your health.
Yeah.
And that's super important to us, is making sure that you're feeling good when you're running and are able to continue to do it. And then when it comes to the rocks getting stuck in the shoes, so occasionally you'll get a rock that gets stuck in the channel here. They don't
Sure.
actually get. I always get the question, do rocks get stuck in
Oh,
the
okay.
elements? Which is a great question.
So it's in the bottom that people were
Yeah,
talking
so it's in the
about.
bottom, and it's only on
Oh,
really
okay.
one model, and it's on the Cloud over here.
Okay.
Because the channel is really narrow on it.
Gotcha.
But I do want to point out, I get asked constantly if rocks and stuff will get stuck in the elements,
Sure.
which is a great question. But when there is the potential to get rocks in there is when it's on the ground, and when
Right.
they're on the ground,
They're
they actually
smushed.
collapse.
Yeah.
Exactly. So nothing will get in the elements
Okay.
themselves. Occasionally, you might get one stuck in the channel here,
Right.
which used to be a bummer, but now we have trail shoes. So if you're going to be running on gravel trails and stuff like that, we've got a full line of
Fix that.
shoes
Okay.
that you won't have any issues with.
Okay.
And these guys really were designed to be run on the road.
That's cool. I'm glad I asked that question. I was kind of joking, but it's helpful to know that they're not gonna get stuck in here, which makes
Yep.
total sense of why they're not gonna get stuck in there. So
Yeah, exactly.
yeah, that's cool. So Ty, you're a runner.
I am.
You're training for Hood to Coast and something else, right?
Yeah, so Hood to Coast, and then
Yeah.
I got my wife reluctantly to sign up for 25K.
Okay.
The Elk
Awesome.
Kings, which is super steep.
Okay.
So that's going to be
Where's
fun.
that?
It's out in Tillamook Forest.
Oh, okay.
Yep. So it's a double summit. They do a 25K and I think a 50K.
Sounds super easy.
Yeah, so we're going to do, I'm really excited because my
Yeah.
wife is not a major runner, and she's
Okay.
really gotten into it and found the enjoyment out of it.
Yeah.
And so she wanted to do a half
As
marathon.
have all of us.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
So she wanted to do a half marathon this year, and I said, we really like running on trails more than roads. So I was
Sure.
like, let's do 2 more miles and we'll do a 25K together.
Okay.
So we got to sign up with that race with our friends at Go Beyond Racing, and we'll go out
Very
and do that
cool.
one. So that's going to be super fun.
That's awesome. Do you have a favorite trail around Portland that you like to go out?
I mean, I hit Forest Park all the time.
Sure.
It's one of the entrances is 1 mile from the office, so
Right.
we run over there as a group.
Yeah, I saw you guys
all
have
the
showers
time.
back there. So
Yep,
is that
yep.
a requirement of working here? Is you have to run daily
You
run
got
up
to
there or
run a little
something?
bit.
Yeah.
And then I live over in South Tabor, so I run a lot at Mount Tabor too.
Oh,
Which
okay.
actually there's quite a few trails
There
up
are.
there.
We
It's-
live fairly close to there as well. So yeah.
So I go up there, and
Okay.
I think last year I ended up doing like almost 10 miles without really going over the same trail twice.
Really?
If you really hit them all.
Interesting. I should find out what that is because I'm always thinking there's like this is a brand new trail. I've never
Yep.
been on this one before.
And there's tons of elevation on parts of it, like on the backside.
Holy cow, yeah.
Parts of it are super steep. So sometime I'll do hill repeats when I need to work on
Okay.
on training and stuff like that.
Yeah. Very cool. Yeah. I think Mount Tabor is one of the secret running spots of Portland. It's not that much
Yep.
of a secret, I guess, but because Forest Park gets so much credit and the
Yep.
waterfront and some of those other places, but Tabor's right there, and it's
It's my little hidden
pretty
gem.
challenging. Yeah. It's a fun. I think from our house, if I go and do a loop all the way to the top and back, it's like 5.5, 6 miles,
Yeah,
something like that.
which
So-
is perfect.
But yeah, you can just wind around those trails forever
Yep.
and get something. And then stop at the playground, do some pull-ups, and
Exactly.
get a little core workout going.
Exactly.
So,
And I always make a summit and look out over the city.
yeah,
I always make sure I stop for at least 30 seconds
Oh,
and
yeah,
just
totally.
take a couple deep
It's-
breaths and
it's,
enjoy it for a minute.
yeah, it's one of the great outlooks. I mean, there's many spots you can look out over Portland and
Yep.
see kind of what's going on. But yeah, that's cool. Do you guys sell? I see jackets over here or shirts.
Yep.
Do you sell more than just shoes? Clearly, you do.
We do, yes.
Okay.
So this season was the first season that we launched an apparel line.
Okay. Very cool.
And we've done really, really well with it. It's kind of a funny story. Originally, it was designed just for employees. We really didn't intend to take it to market, but we got to a point with our brand where we were out doing a bunch of events and we're wearing
Sure.
other competitors' clothing. We were like, I think
Which
we should
isn't
probably
good.
have our own stuff.
Right.
So we got a design team together in Zurich, and they started creating this, and it turned out so well that we said, I think people will buy this.
Yeah, they look very European, for lack of a better term.
Yeah, it's cool. It's
Swiss.
really premium. So we're trying to compete with really expensive Lululemon, the higher end of North Face and Patagonia and that type of stuff. Arc'teryx.
Okay.
Really great quality materials. But we also wanted it to be stylish, which is again that Swiss roots, the European stylization of it. We wanted people to have the technical ability to go run a race or do really intense workouts, but then also take the jacket, throw it on, go have a beer with buddies,
right,
and still look good. Which is actually funny.
Yeah,
We were joking the other day in a meeting because I was like, yeah, it's great for me because it's athleisure.
Right.
And everyone on the East Coast was like, it's not athleisure. It's very technical. And I was like, oh yeah, I forget I live in the Northwest where we wear like our Patagonian Arc'teryx jackets out to the bar.
Exactly. Athleisure is the dress code of, of the Pacific Northwest.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, it's cool stuff. I mean, I think you were wearing one on Saturday at the event.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
I was commenting to Drew how I thought it was cool. So, and can you buy that at most places too, or is that
No, we've actually
online,
kept it pretty limited distribution so far.
Okay.
So you can get it on our website. We've got it in a couple accounts, and it'll expand. We're talking with Fleet Feet here in Portland to maybe bring it in. So should be able to get it in the Portland market soon.
Very cool. It'll be fun to see that now out more and the logo. I assume I was going to ask you where the name comes from, but it seems obvious. On clouds, on running. Is there more to it than that, or is that
no? So it's really like it's kind of basic. We just went with on of like put the shoes on, turn your body on, and get going.
Okay.
Yeah, and then we always get everybody gets confused by the logo with the little accent on the O. And it's because in Europe, that's the international power symbol. So anything that's like your computer or anything that's got a power button, that's the power button.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I had no idea. I thought it was like a little person or just on with a little...
Yeah, we get all sorts of different...
Interesting. It's cool. So before I let you go, I feel like I would be remiss if we didn't talk a little bit about beer. Since you mentioned wearing this out, to the bar, and we are the Oregon Brewery Running Series.
Yep.
You guys are right next to Lucky Lab here,
yep.
Which we will be at Lucky Lab this summer at the Hawthorne location. Do you have a couple of favorite breweries that you really like going to here in Portland?
Absolutely. My favorite definitely has to be Gigantic. I love Gigantic.
Yes.
Their beer is so good, but I just love the concept around it.
Sure.
And if people aren't familiar, Gigantic is over on 28th over in the southeast. And they have a cool concept because majority of their beers, except for a few of them, they brew them, they only make them once, and then they never make them again.
Yeah.
And they also hire artists from all around the world to make all of their logos, so they always look different,
very
super
unique.
Cool.
Yeah.
And the staff over there is really cool. So my wife and I spend a lot of time over there with those guys. And then I also really love Bearlick, one of my new favorites, and Great Notion is killing it. Those guys are making really good beers.
Yeah, that's why you pick those events.
Yeah. When you sent me a list, I was like, I'm just gonna pick my favorite breweries.
Totally. Well, it's funny. That's how this thing got started. Is we just made a list, and we're like, let's just contact our favorite breweries and see if they want to do this. And then that's grown. But yeah, we'll be at both those places this fall. So.
Cool. And then we've had probably 30 meetings in the past 2 weeks over at the new Breakside.
Oh yeah, everybody loves that place.
Yeah.
I still haven't been there, but everybody loves it.
They have pretzels the size of your head.
Really?
Yeah.
Maybe I should go there.
So it's a good spot.
A school function to go to after this, but maybe I'll sneak away and get a pretzel.
Exactly.
That's cool. Well, Ty, thanks so much. I really appreciate
for sure.
the conversation, and thanks for being
having me.
Yeah, thanks for being. Well, thank you for having me. I'm in your space, but. So again, On Running Shoes, and is it onrunning.com?
On-running.com.
On-running.com. Or you can click on the link, I think somewhere in this video. Check out their shoes and come to our website. We're going to have a little bit more information about exactly when they're going to be there if you want to come try them out, or head to your local running store, specialty running store, and check them out. So. Ty, thanks again.
Yeah,
I appreciate it. Have you gone for a run yet today?
Nope, I'm getting ready to head out after this.
Okay, awesome.
A little run in Forest Park.
Very fun, cool. Well, thanks again, and I will talk to you later.
Perfect, thank you.
All right, see ya.